You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba is brought to you by AETI, Evolve Green, and the return of one of our older sponsors. It's back now in Fabricland Winker. Happy to have them back as one of our sponsors. I think I said Winker. I mean Fabricland Winkler. My apologies if I got that wrong, but we got a good show in store for you guys today, and we'll have two guests join the show today. I'm not sure if Lorena Mitchell will be coming on today's edition of Rise and Shine to be given a solar report, but we'll have to wait and see. But we'll have Harry Siemens join the show first up here to talk about the latest stories in agriculture on the Farm Report. And then after that, after Harry leaves the show this morning, we're going to have Gordie Tumilson coming on live to talk about, Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, what's going on there with the current COVID situation with the academy, the marketing situation, the upcoming week of practice that the academy is having, and the goalie meetings Gordie is going to have with the goaltenders, as well as the upcoming weekend for Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. And then ending off today's show, I'm going to be doing an edition of Graeme's Opinion. First off with Seth Rach, we're going to be breaking down the past two Winnipeg Jets games and talking about some other stuff happening in the NHL, as well as in part two where I'll be going solo, giving you guys my reaction from Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL, as well as giving you guys my NFL Divisional Round weekend picks. So it's all coming up on Manitoba Show today on this Wednesday morning on January 19th here in 2022 on Rise and Shine Manitoba Show, brought to you by AETI, Evolve Green, and Fabricland Winkler here on ASTV Productions. And as always, we're going to start off today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba with the Farm Report. And before we get into it, I forgot to mention to you guys that the background is different in today's episode. Not using the green screen, we're figuring some stuff out with that. So for the next little while here on Rise and Shine Manitoba, I'm going to be using my old background, as you guys can tell, that I used at the very start when I started off on Rise and Shine. But joining the show first here on this Wednesday morning is Harry Siemens on this week's edition of the Farm Report, brought to you by Wolf Enterprises. Harry Siemens joining me on this Wednesday morning. Harry, how are you doing? Great to have you on once again on this Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm looking at that picture on the bottom left of your side. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Good one. That's great. I love the background. That's you know
Awesome.
what? It's good to have. Just like in my case, right? I've got my late wife on one side and the stuff, and it's always there. But anyway, yes, it's a great morning. I just came back from Dr. Joe Suderman, the chiropractor, who I go see every month to fix up some of my my neck injuries that I had as a baseball umpire. I had a little bit too many whiplash, the ball and the mask. But anyway, it's agriculture, the snow. And I text you, we got more snow. We thought we'd get even more snow. But, you drive down the streets, you drive down the side roads in the country, and there's snow all over the place. And that today, is just absolutely what a number of farmers have told me. That's gold. One farmer says it's white gold. The other farmer said it turns into gold, the moisture, right? So it's a good thing. So we're starting to shape up for the spring runoffs. We obviously can use more snow, more moisture, and we need lots of rain. Somebody mentioned that when there's runoff, this was, I think, in Alberta. Somebody said, well, you got all this snow, or maybe it was actually northwest Manitoba. And he says, well, a good chunk of it goes into Hudson Bay. Well, I said, you know what? Right now, since 2020, I think that's been the last significant runoff that we had, because we had no runoff from snow last spring. And so whatever we can get going forward is just a real bonus, because we have the potato irrigation storages above ground that are mostly empty. And I had a chance to fly with my good friend Don Schellenberg earlier last year in August, and we flew over these storages, and they're empty, and they were supposed to be full of water. And so that's an issue. Rivers and streams and other on-farm dugouts, and of course Lake Minnewaska right here to the west of me at Morden, Manitoba. They are still in a situation where they're on restrictions as far as water usage is concerned. And I've been on that lake in wintertime. You can go on it, but you can't drive on it, because the drop from where the boat launch is about 4 feet, and so they just cannot chance the vehicles to go on there. So we need lots of good runoff moisture. So that's my first point for today. I'll take my breath and let you kick in.
Yeah, for sure, Harry. Always nice to take a breath, of course. I mean, we got to finish the rest of the report, right? So
yeah, right.
Yeah, the snow. It's crazy how much of it fell. I haven't seen a snowfall like that in quite a while. I did a lot of shoveling yesterday, so that was a nice workout for me. But nice to see that we're getting this much snow, and that the moisture is going to have a good effect on farmers. Talk about the positive effects, more in detail of what this runoff of the snow is going to have, from the snowfall that we've had at this point.
Well, the biggest thing is the runoff. The runoff is the filling the streams. And like last spring, I've mentioned him before, Mr. Paul Peters, who's already closer to 90 than he is to 85, but he used to be a rural councillor in the municipality of Rhineland, and he farms he did farm. His boys now farm just east about 7-8 miles of Winkler, and so he keeps a track of moisture. And I know last year, when I spoke with him in April, the middle of April of 2021, he said they'd had exactly 1/10 of an inch of moisture from January, and there was no runoff. We had some fall rains, we had some August rains. They all helped. So the key as far as runoff is concerned has to do with snow. The snow doesn't necessarily make your crop, but it does. If it melts slowly, it can soak in, and the subsoil moisture in most parts of Manitoba is low. The subsoil moisture is way down. So it helps to improve the subsoil moisture, but it right now is probably an attitude changer. Like I say, they refer to snow as gold, because even with the cold temperatures, I love drive. This morning I did a short video I posted on Facebook. I'm just driving from my home to downtown Winkler, and I just, the trees are glistening, and the snow is all around us, and it just doesn't feel quite so cold as if we have bare trees and bare fields like we did last year. So that's really the positive. It's a big attitude changer for everyone concerned that's waiting for water and that's waiting to put in the crop this next year.
Yeah, for sure. And you text me every week to tell me what you want to focus on talking about on this show. And one other thing that you told me about, other than the snow, among the other things that you've told me, was the truckers. Talk about the situation going down there with the truckers regarding the borders.
Well, it's I don't want to make this a political comment in either direction. I'm reporting this for your information, but I have a lot of trucker friends that were on the border 2 days ago. Getting to a slow crawl. I had a young fella visit me yesterday, Russ Peters from Winkler. He showed me a video, and what they're trying to do is that there's a mandate in the U.S. and a mandate in Canada that truckers without double vax cannot cross the border. That's the real issue. So, and a lot of the truckers, maybe 15, 20%, are not vaccinated on both sides of the border. So they're trying to draw attention to governments and to industry and to people like you and me that if the truckers aren't driving, we're not going to get the product that we necessarily want. And so they have a slowdown, but there's a much bigger one coming on January 23rd that's starting in Vancouver and then Calgary and then Regina, and then it'll come to Winnipeg. And truckers, the way I'm told, will be joining as this procession is going all the way to Ottawa. So they want to block the streets of Ottawa. There will be people coming from the eastern part of Canada and from southern Ontario. And so all I'm doing is I'm reporting. I have told people I am double vaxxed, and that's because I wanted to. It was my choice. And at the same time, these people have chosen not to be vaxxed, and so they can't cross the border. So that means that we're going to see probably an interruption, not just because of the crawl, but we just don't have as many trucks crossing the border on a regular basis with product coming from wherever. So it's a real challenge for hog producers, for some grain producers, because so much product moves by truck. So any kind of interruption with the trucking, we're already in a situation where we got the supply chain, is challenged at places. And so at this point, that's all I really want to say about it. I'm not saying whether I'm for or against it. I'm just reporting why the truckers are doing what they're doing, and everybody can make up their own minds as to whether it's good or bad or indifferent.
Yeah, for sure. Crazy to see this happening at this point, with everything going on. So going to be interesting to see what's going to be happening with this situation as time goes on here, as the story develops. But talking about the inflation and COVID, you were saying yesterday that I feel it goes hand in hand. Talk about that, dive into that, the inflation and COVID.
Well, I think I touched maybe briefly on it last week. I'm not even sure now. But Brett Stewart from Preston, Idaho, a global agritrends. He's a co-founder of it. They've been in this business for 15 to 20 years. And I interviewed him because he spoke at the Banff pork seminar last week. And so I had a chance to visit with him, not in person, but on telephone. And right now, in the United States, number one, we've got inflation. Food prices have gone up 28.2% in the United States last year alone. And I'm sure we're following right behind. And I talked to a friend from Western Manitoba, wants to sell her farm home, and people are telling her to move into Brandon. Well, she says, I can't afford to. I don't know what I'm going to get for my house. And right now, inflation has upped the price of rent in the city of Brandon. So we've got inflation. That's the one point. And then he talks about the United States having inserted $6 trillion. That's that's trillion with a capital T, dollars into the U.S. economy. He says it's the biggest financial experiment the world has ever seen. And he says the textbooks 20 years from now, what will they say? It says, did it work? Was it wrong? Or whatever. But that's what's happening. And so that's what's causing the inflation. They increased the money supply in the United States just by taking it out of the air pretty well, printing money, doing whatever they have, and increased the money by 40% in 2 years. And he said that's unprecedented anywhere in the world. And so we've got inflation. That's the cause of the inflation. But what he said was because of COVID, that's why the government could do this with that kind of money. And so, and as a result of inflation, the money being put into the economy by government, $6 trillion, and then COVID, right now, the biggest challenge that businesses in the United States have, and especially the agricultural processing plants and so forth, is that they don't have people. Right now, there's 50% going begging of the jobs that are available in Canada, in the United States. And what Brett Stewart told me, he says the U.S. government is not allowing all the immigrants that are coming into Canada, into the United States, to take those jobs. He says they want to make a labor shortage, so companies have to pay more money in order to cover the inflation that is happening as a result of the $6 trillion that have gone into the economy. And he says if they can up the prices, then people will say, well, yeah, okay, now we can, we're at level, at par with what's going on. So COVID is causing, it allowed the government to put that money into the system. It caused inflation, and COVID is also causing a real labor shortage because governments on both sides of the border, Canada and the US, they paid people to stay at home. I mean, they had all kinds of, and so it was easier to stay at home and not work. And he says, you take a meat processing job, for example, $21 US an hour. Nobody wants to work for that. But he says you allow the immigrants to take those jobs. Absolutely. They would be there and they would do a good job, but the immigrants are not allowed to take those jobs. So that's the nuts and bolts of what Brett Stewart told me. And I found it very, very interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing there, Harry. Very interesting indeed. What's happening with inflation, a cause of COVID-19, the pandemic, of course. Crazy to see it happening in the States at this point. Finishing off with this, Harry, of course, on your weekly take on Siemens Says, on Harry Siemens' farming tip of the week for farmers, ending off today's edition of your segment here, the Farm Report. What do we got this week, Harry, on your farming tip of the week for farmers on?
Well, I'll take a page out of Brett Stewart's recommendation. He said, this isn't going to be solved anytime soon. So if you're looking for someone to work on your farm, if you're looking for someone to work in the seed plant, looking for someone to work, if you have somebody that you can train and take and put him or her to work, do so, because they're not going to be lining up as far as the jobs are concerned. And so my tip is, if you need labor on your farm, start looking. It may already be too late for this year, but start looking to make sure that you've got your jobs covered as much as possible.
Well, there it is. Harry Siemens' farming tip of the week for farmers on Siemens Says here. Harry Siemens, farm journalist and podcaster, on the show here on this Wednesday morning. Harry, until next week on Wednesday when we do it again in an all-new edition of the Farm Report. We'll see you then. But until then, you take care and continue staying safe.
Take care. Yeah.
And there he is, Harry Siemens, joining this week's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Hoping that everyone is doing well on this Wednesday morning, everybody. I know that a lot of snow fell here in Manitoba on, I guess, early Tuesday morning, late Monday night. I'm not too sure. I wasn't outside when the snowfall first started. Then I went outside later on in the I guess in the early morning after midnight, and the snow was falling pretty heavily, but great for farmers that we were able to get the snow, and like Harry said, the biggest benefit of it so far is the runoff of what the snow is going to bring. But this week on the show, not doing it typically Rise and Shine on the normal StreamYard broadcast. I am, in fact, recording this on StreamYard. That's the streaming platform that we use, but we're doing it on Boxcast. So doing it a bit different on our new media player. Once again, we've done it before on our new media player, but went away from that, and we're doing it once again. But I can't see any of you guys' comments, even though we really don't get many comments here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. But if you do want to comment, be sure to leave a comment down below. I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it or not, but let us know. Let everybody know how you're doing on this Wednesday morning. If you're keeping warm inside your house, if you're out on the road, if you're at work, if you're at school, wherever you are. Hoping everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday morning until this point, up until this point, and continues to have a wonderful Wednesday here on this January 19th date here in 2022. But yeah, coming up after this commercial break, we're going to bring on the next guest in the show. It's going to be Gordie Tumilson joining the show, marketing director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, to talk about the current COVID-19 situation, how that's affecting the academy at this point. I'm also going to be talking to Gordie about the marketing situation with the academy right now, what they're doing to branch out players, as well as talking about the upcoming week of practice for the academy, as well as talking about the goalie meetings Gordie is going to have, and then finishing off with talking about the upcoming games that the academy is hoping to have this weekend, barring that COVID-19 does not get in the way. But you're watching Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions. Coming up after the break, Gordie Tumilson stops by here on Manitoba Show. Stick around for that after this commercial.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
On this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, as always on these Wednesday mornings, is Gordie Tumilson, marketing director and goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. Gordie, not much to report on the weekend, nothing at all actually, except for one thing: cancellation of games throughout all of the academy. Fill us in on that first off to start off the show.
Yeah, I guess COVID, Omicron has gotten everybody, and with that, lots of cancellations, as we kind of expected. We don't like them, and the kids hate them, and some of the kids have gotten their dose of COVID. It hasn't been too serious within our camp, but nonetheless, we have a few kids out, mostly in the boys U17 team, and with that, all the games are canceled on the weekend. And coming up, unfortunately, there's a chance that games coming this weekend are going to be canceled. In fact, the girls' U18 games have all been canceled. They were going to play St. Mary's. And those two games this weekend have been moved to the following weekend. And that tournament that was going to happen in Winnipeg on the weekend of the 28th of January has been canceled. So games are being moved around, and there's a lot of shuffling going on. And it's unfortunate that we're right in the heart of this fourth wave of the pandemic, but nonetheless, we're getting by it. Fortunately, the kids haven't been too sick, and so that's the most important thing. Players are staying healthy, coaches are staying healthy, parents and fans are staying healthy, and we're going to get through this in the next few weeks, hopefully. And if we don't get another wave, that'll be just fine. So there we go. We do have one game scheduled this coming weekend. Is the U15 boys playing Yellowhead at Shoal Lake on Sunday afternoon on the 23rd at 2:30. So hopefully that game will carry on, but I guess players' health will be the biggest concern, and we'll see where both teams are at later in the week.
Yeah, and reshuffling, something you don't want to see, because COVID-19 has done a lot of that. And, the biggest downfall of COVID-19 is, of course, canceling games. And as we saw last season, the whole season pretty much got canceled. But like you said, Gordie, great that the fans are staying safe, the players staying safe. You guys are doing what you guys can, along with the rest of the CSSHL, to keep these players safe and healthy at this point. But, talking about, some marketing here in this week's edition of the show, since you are the marketing director. You mentioned it last week. We didn't get into it. The recruitment program that you guys got going on with Pilot-Mound in the academy. Talk about that and the details with the recruitment program that Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy runs.
Thanks, Graeme, for that. Yeah, we're kicking that. That's kicked off already. Now we have to be careful here. We're not allowed by Hockey Canada rules and Hockey Manitoba rules to initiate any conversations with players. So I can't say call us. So I didn't say that. But anyway, at the end of the day, if players contact us through some other source, I guess that's okay. But we're not allowed by the rules to sort of be bothering people at the moment. So we don't. But we are out here, and we have had some contact with some player agents and whatnot. So we have had some calls, and I was engaged last week with five interviews, 4 with goalies out of Quebec. So our agents and our Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy has reached another level. We've not had many calls from Quebec in the past, and so I had 4 nice interviews with goalies and goalie dads, in this case from Quebec, and 1 forward. And so we have talked to a few people, but again, we're not the ones doing the promoting at this point. We are at the moment considering a chief scout and assistant general manager position. That's something that's in the works, or possibly in the works. That's an executive decision from the board of the PMHA group, and we're waiting word on that. But however, we will be starting recruitment once teams' seasons come to an end, and we're allowed to start to talk to people. We will be engaging various agents that we have out in the field with contacting folks, as every other academy does and every other team does, junior hockey and colleges do. We're doing the same thing. So we're spending some time, a lot of time, some money, and a lot of effort in starting to contact teams. We're connected to the NASC elite program, that scouting program that kids register themselves to, and they send videos to it. So it's kind of a collection agency. And so we're following that kind of thing going on. We're following junior teams who are starting to recommend or at least point players into the direction of various programs. And I think we talked about last week. I think we talked a little bit about OCN and some of the things that we're doing there with 6 players from Pilot-Mound now playing on their roster. And so, teams are starting to, indicate that, we might be a place that players could look towards for their development. And yeah, it's an ongoing deal, but it's exciting. It's exciting as heck because you start talking to these players, and of course, most of them haven't heard of Pilot-Mound. They don't know about what we are, and we jokingly tell them we've got them trapped in a hockey prison, 2 hours southwest of Winnipeg. But and sort of we do, but it's a friendly, fun hockey prison with a lot of great education opportunities for players. And not only do they go to school there, but certainly we're connected to the internet and to online education, so we can always bump up or custom devise various education programs for players. So we're looking at all of these things and inviting people to kind of contact us in the meantime before we get going in March. And once that going in March gets going, and then we'll be full bore with checking in with the best possible players who are looking for a different development program, both on the education side and on the hockey skills side. And that OCN thing with having 6 players up there, that just goes to show you, if someone's paying attention to our program like that, and we're and they're doing as well as they are in their standings and whatnot, that bodes well for kids coming to our program, and it shows them that we've got a good staff, a good development program. They're on the ice. We calculated up 400 plus hours when we have a regular season. Yeah. That's double what any other program can offer, almost double at least most other programs can offer, just because we have the extra free ice time in the evenings that kids can go and work on their own skills, not only what the coaches develop, but at practice, but they can do on their own. And so, we talk and goalie kids and forwards and defensemen can work on their edge work, on their skating, all kinds of neat things. So this is where we kind of shine in this area. So that's a pretty good marketing tool for us when we start talking about player development. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's crazy. 400 plus hours on ice, something that, like you said, you guys offer something that is kind of missing in academies across the country. And, just talking about it, branching out to players in Quebec now at this point, something that hasn't been done in Pilot-Mound's history. Talk about, ASTV and all the others, how big of a part they truly play in you guys, being able to branch out to these players.
Well, having the games, being able to point the families, players and families to ASTV, to Game On Magazine here in Manitoba. We send them to Hockey TV, and to elite junior hockey prospects in the States. And we've got 4 pretty neat places for people to go and find us. Of course, we brag about ASTV because we not only do show the games, which everybody does, but we have the unique play-by-play. Thank you, Graeme. You do a great job, and Cody and Seth. We won't say anything about Glenn because he's just in the background, so we won't talk about him. But the 3 faces of ASTV really do a great job of bringing out the players. And when I was telling the Quebec kids about getting interviews and talking on the TV, just like they would on the NHL games, they were quite impressed. And not everybody's quite impressed, to be quite honest with you. Thompson kids that were up last weekend or 2 weekends ago, but they're trying to get into the English world, a little bit more. And we talk about that on those interviews we have with them. Why would you consider Pilot-Mound? Well, we want to be able to speak English better. We want to be able to do that. We want to fit into other things. And so, whereas our kids could probably do with a bit of French, certainly I could. These guys realize, the English part of the hockey world is important, and having these interviews, and the kids that are taking the interviews now, the kids, the girls typically are a little bit nervous, but boy, when they've seen their friends go up and do it now, their teammates, and they're happy to do it. I know we had Julia Schoonbart on there last week, and she did a great job of being on for her first time as an interviewee, and that was neat. And so thank you for that, and all those kind of good things. So so having Quebec and having you guys and these other major media outlets promoting our groups, it can't hurt them. It helps our players move on, and it brings players to us. So good on the media. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify something. I don't know why I refer to ASTV as they, along with all the other media companies you guys work with, because I myself work for ASTV. Of course, the show is on ASTV. I mean, I host 3 shows on this network and, do play-by-play, like you said, Gordie. But it's like, I went to a French immersion school. Been a while since I've spoken French. Don't really remember much how to speak French. Really, I can understand it better than I could speak it. So Quebec kids do end up coming down to Pilot-Mound. Maybe they can give me some pointers and refresh my mind on how to speak French the right way, right? But just awesome that we're able to give players the opportunity, like you said, Gordie, to get these players some recognition, get these players on for interviews, and we're glad that they enjoyed here from me, myself, and everyone else at ASTV that interviews players and has them on their shows, like Theo Tukuluk on the ice. But talking about this upcoming week of practice for the academy, I know that you said because of the snowstorm you won't be making it down to Pilot-Mound. There's some other factors going into it. So how will this week of practice as well as the goalie meetings look for the academy in Pilot-Mound, Manitoba?
Well, I will get out there. I think with the snowstorm planned for Tuesday. This is, of course, we're on Monday night here doing this interview, but if it's planned for Tuesday, and if it comes to fruition and the roads get closed, or at least there's no point driving in dangerous conditions. Plus, the COVID thing is hanging around a little bit out there. So, and I'm one of those old guys that doesn't want to get this thing. It's been a bit of a hit on old people. So even though I've been triple vaxxed and all that good stuff, I'm a little leery about going out. So I'll wait till the weekend and come and watch the games that are played there, if they're played. And of course, I get to be there with you guys because you're going to be there doing the play-by-play and all that good stuff. And so that's always fun being part of that, the productions that you guys have. But for the goalie meetings, I'll get a hold of those guys individually, and maybe we'll go through some. My plan is to go through some video, sort of FaceTime, and get them on one of their devices, and that we can go through some timed video on some games past. Then we can look at some of the things they've done well. And we always show them things they do well, because you make 40 saves in a game and you get scored on 6 times. Well, you made 40 saves. You did 40 things right, and maybe a whole bunch of other things right too along the way. So, we're gonna talk about some of those things. We'll go over the boo-boos and the goals and whatever else happens, and always a chance to learn. And so for those guys, it's learning and reassuring them of their game and their play. Confidence is a huge. Well, we all know that in sports, it's confidence, right? And so building the kids' confidence, keeping their confidence level high. They might come off a tough game and yet or a bad goal here and there, and we've got to keep them confident in their play. So that's what we're going to be doing. Excuse me.
Yeah, excuse yourself there, Gordie. I'd say bless you, but you didn't sneeze. You in fact cough. But yeah, you're right. Keep yourself safe. Keep yourself safe, not safe. Safe isn't a word. Keep yourself during this time, for sure. Even though you are triple vaxxed, got to take age into account, right? So you stay safe. Gonna ask you one more question. You touched on it earlier on to start off this episode, but just the upcoming weekend of games, what is planned at this point, what is going to be going down for the upcoming weekend if we are able to see the teams in Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy playing games.
Well, I mentioned the Sunday game early. It's the U15s are traveling up to Shoal Lake to play a game. They haven't played in a while, and boy, they missed games this past weekend, and hopefully they'll get their game in this Sunday so they can get started, because they've got some heavy duty lifting after that, traveling and playing games all over Western Canada. Hoping that those happen. Friday in Pilot-Mound, and again Saturday in Pilot-Mound, our U17s have games against PHA. So we've got a couple of games there. 7 o'clock on. Sorry, it's 7 o'clock. Can't get the 7:30 thing for you. Sorry about that.
All good.
But we have a curfew, and I'm sure they have a curfew in Pilot-Mound. It's 9:01 or something. Anyway, we've got the game on Friday night, and then again Saturday morning, I think at 10:45 or 11 o'clock, and then PHA heads home and or somewhere else, and so those are our three games in the weekend. Girls don't play, unfortunately, but they get some games the following one. So there you go.
Right. Well, it was worth a try, Gordie. Of course, we would have liked here at ASTV for those games to be, boosted up to 7:30 rather than 7. I'll get into that after you, exit this interview on this episode to my viewers. But yeah, Gordie, hoping, crossing my fingers that the games happen for the teams in the academy that are playing this weekend, the U17s and the U15s as well. But until next Wednesday morning on the show, when you join me next, Gordie, you take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Graeme. Appreciate it.
And Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV. 1 second, folks. Just got to respond to this text here. But yeah, Gordie coming on the show this week. Now, I'm not too sure if Pilot-Mound is going to be having games this weekend, but, check ASTV Productions for that, as well as Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy's social media pages for if those games will be a go. PM Buffaloes on Twitter, as well as Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy on Facebook, and PM Buffaloes on Instagram as well. And you can also check out their website as well. We'll link it in the description of this episode. Well, I'll link it in the description of this episode. But yeah, Lorena Mitchell won't be joining this week's edition of the Solar Report. She's feeling a bit under the weather today. So we're going to have Lorena on next week and have her give us an update on what's going on the Solar Report. So coming up after the break, everybody, this next commercial break, I'm going to be joined by Seth Rach in the first part of this week's edition of an opinionated segment, Graeme's Opinion, here on Rise and Shine Manitoba show. Coming up after the break, Graeme's Opinion with Seth Rach here on ASTV. Welcome back to Manitoba Show, Rise and Shine Manitoba here on ASTV Productions, of course. You guys just saw commercials from Fabricland Winkler as well as AETI. Great to have Fabricland Winkler back as one of the sponsors here on Rise and Shine Manitoba. I miss them. Not sure if they miss me, but, it's great to have them back as a sponsor of Manitoba Show here on ASTV. And speaking of Manitoba Show, it is now time for this week's edition of Graeme's Opinion. And joining me in part 1 is Seth Rach on this Wednesday morning. Seth, How you doing on this Wednesday morning? I see you got a big light in the background this time around.
Yeah, actually, my dad whipped that together. Basically, it has the initials of our names, and then it has the word studio, and then it lights up. But you couldn't really see it well in the daytime, but tomorrow evening when we do Inside Scoop, it'll be fully functional.
Can't wait for that there, Seth. Gonna be a lot of fun tomorrow. Seth's Inside Scoop. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a segment where I have Seth on my other show, Coffee with Graeme, and he comes on the show and breaks down and previews the upcoming matchups that we got on the network this weekend coming up. Going to be a good weekend. Hopefully, it's actually a go this time, Seth. COVID doesn't get in the way, but we'll have to wait and see, right? But yeah, starting off with this, Seth. Talking about the past 2 games for the Winnipeg Jets, a win against Detroit in Detroit last Thursday night. Happy to say that Hellebuck was outstanding in that game, having a shutout. I thought he was very good in yesterday's game as well against Washington, even though the Jets lost in OT. But getting into that game against Detroit first last Thursday, the Jets coming out with a good performance and winning 3-0, undermanned in that game.
Yeah, it was basically half the AHL team that was playing in that game, and it was a very, very good game for the Jets, and one of those games that was, if you're a avid hockey fan, it might bore you a little bit because of how it wasn't the most action-packed game, but if you're a Jets fan, you're happy, and you're happy for Kopp because he got 2 goals.
Yeah, Kopp had a heck of a game. 2 really nice goals. That first goal, scoring a beauty with a very nice shot on that one. But yeah, I only got to catch the first period in that one. I was busy actually doing Coffee with Graeme that night while the game was going on. But before then, I got to catch the first period. And yeah, the Jets, I felt like in that first period had good breakouts, moved the puck quick to open space, and had good support as well. Good puck movement in the offensive zone, moved the puck around quickly to open space, took what was given and used it, and had good support as well. And just the speed was evident in that game. I felt like on the breakouts in the zone entries and just quickly moving it in the O zone for the Jets in that game. But the Jets ended up getting outshot in that game in the end, outshot in that third period 17-12, but outshot Detroit in the first 40 minutes. And, Connor Hellebuck seemed like he was on his A game, of course, with a shutout in that game.
Yeah, Hellebuck looked really good, and we kind of need one of those performances. I think it was his first shutout of the year too, so that's very nice to see him get back into the shutout area, or at least get one more shutout. But I thought Hellebuck was the best player in that game. Aside from, well, you want to give Kopp the mention there, but I think Helly's performance speaks for itself.
Yeah, and the Jets penalty kill in that game, like I didn't get to see their penalty kill in action, but I believe it was they killed off 5 penalties in that game against Detroit. Yeah. I mean, when you're able to do that, the Jets having good success on the penalty kill as of late, except for that game against Colorado, which I'd like to call a one-off. I think all Jets fans would like to think about it that way, just with how this team has been playing as of late, even though we got the loss yesterday. The penalty kill, anytime you're able to kill off 5 penalties, is definitely a good night.
Yeah, man, the penalty kill was great that night. And also, I think a little factor plays into how bad Detroit's power play has been. But at the same time, killing 5 penalties is killing 5 penalties. So, you got to give it to them. And especially because their PK percentage is still, second worst in the league. But, I definitely don't think I think it's definitely been one of the hotter ones in recent games.
Yeah, and you are right about that. I just, after I finished speaking there, I realized that Detroit's power play is so bad, but, the Jets getting into penalty trouble, but getting out of it, taking advantage of a porous Detroit power play, but the Jets seem like they executed nicely on the penalty kill in that game. But let's get into last night's game, Seth. 4-3 OT loss against the Washington Capitals. The Jets are now 17, 12, and 5, fifth place in the Central Division. The Jets started this game up 2-0, but then Washington scored 3 unanswered goals. Of course, Ovi getting his league-leading 27th goal, now leads the league in both goals and points. And, PLD tying it up late for the Jets in that third period when we had the 6-on-5, or when the Jets had the 6-on-5. But the Jets getting walked in OT, and pretty embarrassing as a Jets fan to see that. And Wilson, left all alone and really not covered, and able to bang away at that puck in front and put it in the net for the Capitals. But talking about your thoughts on that game yesterday for Winnipeg.
I thought it was a really good game for the most part. I thought at the end of it, I was like, I was felt pretty down because I thought the Jets definitely deserved to win that game. I thought they outplayed the Capitals, but sometimes you can't. It's not about outplaying the team. It's just about who scores the most amount of goals. And unfortunately, we weren't able to put on a very good show in the OT period, but. I think one thing that angered me from the game was the missed knee on the Nikolai Ehlers.
Yeah, just a brutal play by Dmitry Orlov there. And, I'm not going to get into if he's a dirty player or not. I don't know if he has a history of doing dirty stuff because I really haven't seen Dmitry Orlov play very much. But it was a clear blatant knee on knee. And for the ref not to call that, was kind of like the old saying about the refs, the 3 blind mice on that play. And yeah, Ehlers was mad. He's injured now, I heard. I don't think he's going to play in Thursday's game from what I heard. And, losing one of the best forwards on the Jets team, one of the best players on the Jets team definitely hurts. And not getting, a power play out of that dirty play, I think is definitely so ridiculous.
Yeah, and not to mention, this has happened multiple times now. Refs are right there, and then they miss these blatantly wide open penalties that should be penalties. And I don't know. I think, the past 2 to 3 years, the refs in the NHL have been absolutely awful. And I think it needs to be addressed by the league.
Yeah. And, obviously it's a tough job being a ref, but when you're paid like a professional, like the refs are in the National Hockey League, and that goes for, any professional sports league, you should be expected to be able to make calls like that when it's so obvious. I couldn't believe that it wasn't called. You could clearly see Dmitry Orlov stuck out his knee and kneed Ehlers on that one. And, as much as Ehlers has been injury prone throughout his career, I think that's just one of those things on that play where, I don't think you can blame Ehlers for his position. I just think that Dmitry Orlov made a bad play and the refs missed it. But, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Hopefully Nikolai Ehlers comes back, ready to go and with a vengeance when he does come back.
I don't think he'd be out too long, especially the way he was like, they showed him on the bench after, like he was really mad, but he didn't really seem like, he's out. He's going to be out for the next game at least. But I think this one won't be too bad. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but just unfortunate sort of situation that, there was no penalty on that play.
Yeah, I actually thought he walked it off pretty good. On the bench, you could see him moving, which is a good sign. He didn't need to get helped off the ice. Obviously a trainer came out, but to see him moving on the bench and fired up like he was, nice to see. But sucks that he'll be missing next game. But I think you're right. I don't think he'll be out for too long. But in that game yesterday, Seth, the Jets outshot the Capitals 33-31, outshot Washington in the second period 11-10 and 12-6 in that third period. And just talking about special teams, the Jets scoring that first goal on the power play. Of course, that shot missed the net from Kopp, and then Connor steps up and puts in a beautiful goal to make it 1-0. Perfetti scoring a beautiful first his first goal in his National Hockey League career, and not on the power play, but the Jets killing off both of Washington's power plays. To be fair, Washington's power play has been struggling this season, but with all the weapons they got, always nice to be able to, make them go over 2 on the power play. But looking at the Jets, what I felt like they did good in this game, I felt like the speed was evident when you're talking about just the breakouts early on in this game. And even as the game went along, zone entries as well, getting into the zone with speed, establishing the zone, moving the puck good in the offensive zone, moving into open space. I also thought the Jets did a really good job in this game of taking advantage of the open space, the lackluster coverage that the Capitals had at times when they were getting caught deep in Winnipeg zone. And then there was a massive gap, from where those forwards were to where those defensemen were, where the Jets were able to move it in the neutral zone. In this game, I did feel like Washington, settled down defensively as this game did go along, but the Jets were working the puck, going to those dirty areas, winning the puck battles, especially in the slot, being able to drive traffic there. You saw it, that pass to Pierre-Luc Dubois to where he scored that goal to win the game for the Jets was huge. Not win the game, to tie the game for the Jets, my apologies. But Mark Scheifele, had a chance where he, the Jets ended up winning the puck battle in front, and then he put it off the post. But I thought early on in that game, I thought the things that the Jets didn't do so well was just breakdowns defensively when you're talking about just missing assignments, losing track of the man, sending 3 guys at the puck at once. Just basic things I feel like shouldn't be happening. I feel like it did happen in this game for the Jets and kind of did cost them at times. But I think that one defensive pairing that struggled immensely, and I don't want to see them paired again for a very long time. I
know where you're going with this.
Stanley and Schmidt, just all night long getting burned, losing track of their man, really not playing a good gap at times, and kind of lackluster coverage from them throughout the game. But overall, I thought the Jets did a lot of good things right in this game, but there was some poor things that happened for the Jets, and especially in that overtime period, Seth, like Kyle Connor goes into
talk about missed assignments.
Goes in too deep into the offensive zone, gets burned, but doesn't really back check that hard. Mark Scheifele was not covering the middle of the ice there. He was really useless in the neutral zone. He gets blown by. Not really going to fault Josh Morrissey on that dangle that Kuznetsov put on him. But then just the back check wasn't even present in that overtime play. And then Wilson left all alone in front, able to bang it away, not even having a Jets player on him. And, Hellebuyck really left helpless. I also thought Hellebuyck played a heck of a game yesterday as well.
Yeah, I agree. And with back to that OT goal, I'm just thinking I saw even before the goal, right before the goal, when at least Scheifele was back there. He wasn't on the right guy. He wasn't on his assignment, but at least he was back there in the defensive zone. I don't know where Kyle Connor was on that play. He was just floating at it felt like he was floating in the neutral zone when they scored that goal. But there were thing I liked about the game was like you had mentioned it a little bit before. I thought the zone entries were a lot cleaner. And one thing I thought they really improved on since the start of the year was their forecheck in general, being able to win those puck battles, like you said, in the corners and along the boards. And I thought the Jets did a really good job at that. And especially in the offensive zone, I thought the forecheck was excellent.
Yeah, and I think when the Jets were having success earlier on in the year, especially until they went into the slump, I thought the forecheck actually looked very good for the Jets early on in the season. Of course, they kind of got away from having a more effective forecheck. Of course, in that game against Colorado, the Jets really struggled on the forecheck against this Colorado team, getting burned. But in this game, like you said and like I mentioned, really good at winning those puck battles and getting possession, and really able to generate good momentum on the forecheck in terms of moving the puck around in the O-zone, moving it into those high-quality scoring areas for the Jets in that game, trying to generate traffic as well into those areas, getting players into those areas. But, back to the point about Scheifele, like at least he was, back in the zone. But, you can be there. But, if you're not doing anything like Scheifele was, just kind of coasting and watching the guy, blow by, I don't really think that that's going to do the Jets much good. And like all game long, I felt like the Jets on the back check, that was one thing I felt like as the game went along, they kind of struggle on, just kind of watching guys blow by, not really getting back with much urgency, and kind of caused Washington to get some good scoring chances when the Jets did break down and, lose possession of the puck and Washington came down.
Yeah, and it's like you said, like earlier in the game, they were doing a great job at just kind of minimizing the Washington Capitals' chances and coming back on the odd man rushes. But I thought, as the game went along, they started to get weaker and weaker defensively, and then going back to the pairing of Schmidt and Stanley, man, that was something to behold last night.
Yeah, and especially on that first goal,
that was Schmidt. I don't know what he was doing on that goal.
Like you look at it, it's just Schmidt goes to attack that guy with the puck. He puts a dangle on Stanley. Stanley was just kind of standing there, didn't follow, his player to the net. Which
I thought Stanley was doing his job. Like he had the shooting lane covered. I don't know why Schmidt left his guy over to Stanley's guy. He already had the lane blocked.
I felt like Stanley should have switched up there with Schmidt and ended up sticking with his guy who it was Ovechkin, right? Who put the dangle on that play and then ended up going to the net. Well, it was that Ovi.
I just don't know why Schmidt would leave his side though, and he could just let Stanley stay there with the long reach. That was my whole thing with that play.
Schmidt on that play, in my opinion, yes, it's not the ideal situation, but Stanley does need to recognize that. You do got to recognize that those things are going to happen. It's going to switch up. And I felt like, Stanley should have just stayed with his man. Yes, he tried to, block the shooting lane, but really wasn't in a good position to do that, in my opinion. But, it is what it is. We'll agree to disagree on that one there, Seth. Talking about Cole Perfetti, having a heck of a game, in my opinion, scoring a heck of a goal, doing some really good things, making some really good passes, and using his good hockey IQ again to do some good things out there. For him to get the opportunity to play on a line along with Kyle Connor and PLD, I think has been massive for him. I think he's, doing very good on that line that he's been on with the Jets, with PLD and Kyle Connor. You just got to think Perfetti's going to get better and better and get more comfortable in his role on that line, in the role that he's playing. And as a Jets fan, as a guy that has wanted to see the young guys stepping up and getting chances, I love how Sandberg has been in the lineup as well. And,
he's been good too.
It's a huge plus, I feel like, for Jets fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really liked Sandberg with Pionk. I think, Sandberg's, a younger, less big version of Brendan Dillon. I think they're pretty much very similar players in the way they play. And I think Sandberg's done a great job at covering for Dillon while he's been gone. And but Perfetti, he even in the Detroit game, I noticed in the third period, he was getting all kinds of chances with that lineup on the rush. And I remember one play, it was a tic-tac-toe play, and he made an unbelievable pass to Dubois, and Dubois wasn't able to quite get the puck under. How do you say that Detroit goalie's name? Nedeljkovic or Nedeljkovic, right. That's how you say it, Nedeljkovic. But he almost got it under Nedeljkovic, but wasn't quite able to do it. And Perfetti's been playing great with this line. I think there's still a little bit of improvements for him to make. Like Dave Lowry had mentioned in the pregame, was he needs to be able to keep up with Kyle Connor's speed. But I think that's just gonna, work itself out the more he plays with Kyle Connor.
Yeah, I agree. It's what Perfetti has only played a handful of games so far. I don't even know if that's the right term, but he hasn't played much so far in the NHL. He's finally getting his chance, and that is one thing that I got to give Dave Lowry too, as a Jets fan, of course, watching from my couch, being an armchair GM, right? Me and you are, Seth, but, giving guys a shot to play, the young guys, using your young talent, using the assets that you have in the organization that can be beneficial to you, like putting Perfetti in the lineup, putting Sandberg in the lineup, giving Chisholm a shot. I mean, I'd love to see Hanola get a shot, but I don't even know if that's going to happen at this point, no matter what.
I think he's gone.
Going on here, but it's just so nice to see as a Jets fan. Finally, these young guys are getting a chance in the lineup. One sec here, Seth. I do notice that I have a nosebleed, so I'm gonna grab some paper towel here. I'll let you.
You better get that taken care of.
Yeah, for some reason in the past 2 days here, when I've been doing shows, Seth, I don't know why, but my nose has been giving me some issues. But we'll get this nosebleed sorted out, and we'll talk about the All-Star game comments that Nathan MacKinnon made last week. Of course, Nazem Kadri is now going to be in the All-Star game. But, initially he wasn't selected to the All-Star game, and basically McKinnon's ripping the NHL last week for how this isn't a participation game. This should be the best of the best playing. Of course, the way the selection works is one player from each team goes. Of course, some teams have two players going. I think Colorado had McKinnon and Makar going. And I'm pretty sure another team had two players going, but I'm not too sure what that team was. It might have been the Rangers. But bottom line, I totally agree with what McKinnon said there. Like the All-Star game, even though it's a game for fun at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as much as what's going on in the season. The All-Star game should be the All-Stars in the league. And with the season Nazem Kadri is having, like you can't tell me that initially, even though he's in the All-Star game now, he didn't deserve to go over a guy like Clayton Keller. You can't tell me that Brad Marchand shouldn't be going for Boston over a guy like Nick Suzuki. Like, I don't care, how many players a team has. If you got a team full of All-Stars who are having All-Star seasons, like a team like Colorado or like the other top teams in this league, they should be rewarded for it. Clayton Keller, he's a great player. He's a talented young player in this league, but you can't tell me he should have got selected first off out of.
Although, like, I kind of agree with you. But I'm also, I don't really like what Nathan MacKinnon said personally. I think, like, yeah, if you're having All-Stars should go, and like if they're the best players in the league. But, like, I don't want to see, like, 5 players from the Avalanche at the All-Star game. I like to see a variety of players, and I like that we get to see players from every single team. Yeah, they're not as good, and Kadri probably should have been in it from the first place, but I think, he probably should have been in it over a guy like Cale Makar. But they need Cale Makar to balance out it's a tough situation. I personally think I do like every team representing because that means every fan from a fan base can have something to look forward to in the All-Star game. That's the way I see it.
I mean, that is a good point, obviously. Like, you want every fan to enjoy it. I just feel like an All-Star should be the players that should be deserving to go. And say a team like Colorado players are having All-Star seasons, just using them for example, like McKinnon, like Kadri, like Makar, right? Obviously, I feel like those guys should be going, and obviously McKinnon and Makar already were. But I think that this is the best league in the world, obviously, in terms of a national hockey league, which it is. And I mean, it shouldn't be sugarcoating anything, any cookie cutter BS. I think that the players who deserve to go, no matter how many players from which team, should get the All-Star nod. And I understand that you want to have every fan interested, and the All-Star weekend is a fun weekend for the players. But I think when it comes down to it, they're all professionals. They can handle it. Who goes to the All-Star game or not, if you're deserving of it. I think that, you should go no matter how many players from which team ends up going.
Yeah. Even though, like, I still think Clayton Keller, like objectively, like he is having actually a pretty good season, and I think his he has the skill set to be in that All-Star competition. And who knows, if you replace Kadri and Keller, who knows who's the better player? If Keller's on the Avalanche, I'd like to think he might be the better player than Kadri, but that's, who knows, because Kadri's having a unreal season too. So at the same time, so I don't know. To me, I just think it makes more sense for a team to send every team to send at least one player, because then the audience, and you'll make more. There's potential to make more money if all the player from every team goes, and I just think it's a better viewing experience for everybody at home if a player from every team goes.
Yeah, well, let's be honest. Have you ever met an Arizona Coyotes fan?
No, and I think they only have about like 4 actual fans that live there, but it's not really their fault because they've had a terrible team for the past like forever.
Fair. But yeah, we'll move on from that. Speaking of things that have been said, I'm gonna play a clip right here, Seth. Me and you were talking about it yesterday, and this is the clip from Leon Draisaitl's interview with I forget what his name is. Some guy named
Jim Matheson.
Jim Matheson. Yep. Let's see if we can hear it here.
Number one reason for the losses now. Is there one thing that you, in your own mind, you're saying we got to get better at that?
Yeah, we have to get better at everything.
Would you like to expand on that?
No. You can do that. You know everything.
Why are you so pissy, Leon? Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. I'm just answering your
question. Yeah, you are. Whenever I ask you a question.
I gave you an answer.
Not very good one.
Okay.
I have one more for you. Leon, you show your frustration on the ice last game against Ottawa. Is that a good thing when you show it so the other team knows you're frustrated?
Yeah, it's a great thing, for sure.
Well, that's Jim Matheson making a fool of himself, getting very defensive and very disrespectful, very...
That's so awful to say.
It's just... I'll let you go first, Seth, before I get into it here.
Pardon me, everybody. I almost slipped the SH bomb when I'm watching that, because man, that just makes me so angry when these reporters who have like no special ability to do anything with their lives are telling these NHL players how they should be playing and what they should be doing differently. It's disturbing that these guys think that they know more than people that actually play in the NHL and are really good.
Yeah, and you talk about a guy like Leon Draisaitl. He's like the second best player in the world right now, along with, in terms of the season that he's been having. You can make that debate. But like, the thing is, like, sure, the reporter asks a stupid question, right? And then Leon Draisaitl answers it, and then, kind of gives a snarky answer back. And I understand how a reporter might get in his feelings, but as a reporter, with me and you working in this industry as well, like me sitting back and looking at that was just so unprofessional and an embarrassment to the industry for you to answer back like that to Leon Draisaitl after he answered your question. No matter how he answered your question, he answered it. Just move on and ask the next question. He asked another stupid question after that, but for him to get mad at Leon Draisaitl and basically raise his voice at him because he didn't answer the question like he wanted and gave him attitude is just so unprofessional. And just the language he used, like,
yeah,
are you a reporter or are you an opinionated person?
Are you his father? I mean, really, you're acting like he can't talk back to you. Like, you're a reporter. He's an NHL player. Know your role.
Like, we have reporters have the luxury, and we have the luxury of talking about some of the greatest athletes in the world. It's a blessing. And this guy, Leon Draisaitl, the player he is, has done more than Jim Matheson has done in his whole reporting career.
Nobody even knows who Jim Matheson even is.
Yeah, I saw a compilation yesterday of Jim Matheson asking stupid questions and the Oilers players getting upset with him and giving him snarky remarks. Like, this isn't the first time this has happened with Jim Matheson. He basically called out Koskinen and said he wasn't an NHL goaltender one time.
What a tool.
Just hang him up, Jim Matheson. I know you'll never watch this, but you're a pathetic excuse for a reporter. And you're just pathetic. It's just,
I'd be better in his spot, man. Like, the guy knows nothing.
Like, why would you ever
not an NHL worthy goaltender? Are you kidding me? Why would you ever say that to someone in an interview like that, or in a post game? The goalie's upset. He just lost a game that he wants to have back, and then you go out and say that stuff. Like, why? What's your problem, man?
Yeah, like, I'm not even sure if that's exactly what he said, but that's basically what he said to Koskinen. Like, it's just, like, man, if he thinks Koskinen isn't an NHL-level goaltender, well, I got some news for you, Jim. You're not an NHL-level reporter. That's for darn sure.
Barely,
yeah. I think I'm going to use this as the rant for today's episode because we're ranting on this right now. But yeah, just what a joke. Just the question to begin with. Like, what do you think Edmonton needs to get better at, Jim? They're struggling after being like the best team in the National Hockey League statistically at one point in the season. They've fallen off a cliff. Like, why would you ever ask that question? Use your head and get creative. I mean,
why are you asking Leon Draisaitl, the guy who is the only reason one of the only reasons Edmonton actually wins games? If they didn't have Draisaitl or McDavid, they'd be the worst team in the NHL. I am guaranteeing they would be the worst team. They'd be worse than the Montreal Canadiens if they didn't have Draisaitl or McDavid.
Yeah, and like Leon Draisaitl can answer the question any way he wants to, because at the end of the day, he's Leon Draisaitl and you're Jim Matheson. He plays in the NHL, and you brag about how you covered hockey since the 80s. This isn't the 80s anymore, Jim. Grow up and be better. Oh, wait, you're already old. I guess you're past growing up.
Almost 50 years since the Oilers have won a Stanley Cup. Like, I mean, you can calm down. You stupid.
What an absolute bum. I think we're going to end it here, Seth. I really do got to take care of this nosebleed before I, end up doing the rest of my segment here, Graeme's Opinion, once you, sign off here on the show. But thanks for coming on once again, man. It was fun, ripping into Jim Matheson with you. And until next week, until tomorrow night when I see you on Seth's Inside Scoop, you take care, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
That was Seth Rach. And yeah, what a scumbag. Jim Matheson is like, I can't believe that. It made me cringe. Absolutely ridiculous stuff from him there. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed me and Seth talking about the Jets as well as the stuff going on in the National Hockey League, leave a like or a reaction wherever you guys are watching, and leave a comment down below if you agreed or disagreed with me and Seth in this week's edition of the segment. So coming up after the commercial break, I'm going to take care of this nosebleed for you guys because I don't want to keep fiddling with my nose. It's kind of, looks stupid. So I'm going to throw it to a commercial break. You might see a blank screen for just a bit here, but I'll be back to give you guys my reaction from Super Wildcard Weekend in the NFL, as well as giving my Divisional Round weekend picks up next on this edition of Graeme's Opinion on Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV.
Hello, my name is Lorena Mitchell, owner of Evolve Green. And here at Evolve Green, we take the environment very seriously. We have a 10 kilowatt solar system that offsets our main facility by 75%, as well as maintaining natural prairie on our grounds. Our mission, creating renewables that work for you. I started Evolve Green in 2008 with a passion for the environment and wanting to change my corner of the world. And that remains the same today. Through design, consult, and installation, we provide renewable energy systems and storage integration. Here at Evolve Green, we help Canadians rethink power and storage to help fortify our children's future. To learn more, visit evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba, everybody. I think I sorted out my nosebleed. I don't think my nose is bleeding anymore, but we'll have to wait and see. Seth Rach joined the first edition of, or the first part of Graeme's opinion for this week's episode. And talking about the Jets, the All-Star game, Nathan McKinnon's comments, as well as that brutal line of questioning and response from Jim Matheson getting all defensive and mad at Leon Draisaitl for not answering the question like he wanted. What a bum. But yeah, that's my rant for this week. I did with Seth this time. I forgot about putting in a rant for this edition of the show, so it worked out, I guess. But yeah, this is part 2 of Graeme's opinion this week, talking about the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. And I'm satisfied with Super Wildcard Weekend in the sense that I got 5 out of my 6 predictions right. The only one I got wrong was the Las Vegas Raiders losing to the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was honestly one of the best games of the weekend. To be honest, Wildcard Weekend was kind of underwhelming. Super Wildcard Weekend this weekend. Not really any big upsets, except for, I guess you could say, San Francisco was the biggest upset of the week by the seeding. But at the same time, it's the Dallas Cowboys, and when have they won a playoff game? They win a playoff game every once in a while when they make it in like the past 2 decades, 3 decades. But really kind of laughable how that game ended. Dak Prescott taking a quarterback draw. Taking a quarterback draw with no timeouts, sliding, and then handing his center the ball for them to place it, spotting the ball in the wrong spot to begin with. And you can't even do that. It's an NFL rule that the ref needs to spot the ball. So the Cowboys screwed themselves there. But, the Cowboys were marching on that drive. And, just Dak, he did gain good yardage, but with no timeouts left, wasn't the right play to make and wasn't the right play call to make. But yeah, there were some blowouts. Like, looking at the scores, I didn't give any score predictions, and I won't be doing it again because honestly, who knows how these games will go. I'm just going to predict the winners once again. But the Las Vegas Raiders lost in the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend to the Cincinnati Bengals 26-19. The Buffalo Bills smoked the Patriots 47-17. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, handled the Philadelphia Eagles with ease, 31-15. The Dallas Cowboys losing by 6 points, 23-17 to the San Francisco 49ers. The Kansas City Chiefs played against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Ben's last game, as they're saying, as it was apparently Ben's retirement party in KC that night. Sent him off with a dominant win once the Chiefs offense got going, 42-21. And a game that I thought would be the best game of the weekend was probably the most disappointing, just in terms of the score, was the LA Rams smoking the Arizona Cardinals 34-11. Buda Baker, pretty scary incident, a helmet-to-helmet hit on him, and then he goes down and has to get stretchered off. It was some scary stuff there for sure. But yeah, overall, I'm not going to go into depth in all these games, and any of these games for that matter, but pretty disappointing, underwhelming wildcard weekend in the sense that a lot of these games were pretty one-sided and blowouts. But, getting into the divisional round weekend picks, this is going to be the first time in the playoffs that the first seeds are going to be playing. Of course, the Green Bay Packers had the luxury of getting the first seed in the NFC once again this season. Of course, since the NFL has changed the rules of how many teams make it to the playoffs, 7 instead of 6, only one team gets the bye, and the Packers ended up getting the bye against all the rest of the NFC. And I believe, just looking at it, had the best record overall in the league. Next to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Green Bay got first place with a 13-4 record, and the Tennessee Titans are the first seed in the AFC with a 12-5 record this year, getting the bye instead of the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the same record as them heading into the playoffs, 12-5. I guess you could say that KC has improved to 13-5 on the season now. But the Titans ended up getting the first seed based off of the game that they won against the Chiefs earlier on this year. But let's get into it. My predictions for this wildcard weekend. And should be interesting to see what my predictions will be. I already know them, of course. But the Tennessee Titans and Cincinnati Bengals, looking at the stats here, looking at what happened last weekend in the wildcard games in the AFC, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals finally winning a playoff game for the first time, and I believe they said it was 31 years. But Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase doing their thing. The Raiders almost went down and tied that game to send it overtime, but the Bengals were able to make a stand and I believe take off. Derek Carr in that game, I'm remembering off the top of my head. They ended up picking off Derek Carr. Looking at it, Joe Burrow having a very solid playoff debut, 24 for 34, 244 yards, 2 TDs thrown, 0 interceptions. Jamar Chase with 9 catches for 116 yards. He rushed the ball 3 times for 23 yards as well. But looking at this game, I am going to roll with, I honestly, this is the one I've been struggling with. Who is going to win this game? I'm going to roll with the Tennessee Titans in this one. Now, you guys know I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan. I've made that very clear, as you guys could have probably, seen from what I've said and from, how I ranted last week. But I do got to give the Tennessee Titans credit. Without Derrick Henry, who is, considered the best running back in the National Football League, and I think he is the best running back in the National Football League, even though my boy Jonathan Taylor was the best RB this year. I think if Derrick Henry was in, he would have been the best. Still, he was way ahead when he was injured, and he could have very well hit 2,000 yards. Is Derrick Henry back for this game? Let me check. Oh, Derrick Henry, I don't believe is going to be back for this game. let's take a look at the news that they're saying here. So he's practicing and taking contact. If Derrick Henry is in this game, that's going to be massive for the Tennessee Titans. But with Derrick Henry out, this Tennessee Titans has been able to fare well. And I think that just in terms of, man, this is a tough one, honestly, just looking at the stats here, because I'm honestly not the biggest fan of Ryan Tannehill. He hasn't had a very good season, to be honest. Like, you just look at the stats that he's put up: 21 TDs, 14 interceptions, 3,734 yards. But you know what? I'm going to switch up and say the Cincinnati Bengals are going to continue their run. I'm going to say for these reasons and these reasons alone, just looking at the passing defense that the Tennessee Titans have, they rank 25th against the pass in terms of yardage given up per game. They're a good team against the rush, but I feel like, if they're unable to get the good pass rush on Joe Burrow in this game, I think that it's going to create problems for them. I think Joe Burrow is going to be able to pick apart this Tennessee Titans defense along with Jamar Chase. And I think that this Cincinnati Bengals team will be able to step up defensively against this Tennessee Titans team. I think if Derrick Henry is out of this game, even if he is in this game, he hasn't played in a while. He is the best running back in the league, like I said, when he is healthy. But just in terms of the makeup of the Cincinnati Bengals, I feel like this is a team that, it is a team that can win in a shootout. And I think that against the Tennessee Titans team, I think that the Bengals will be able to do that in this game. So I'm going to roll with the Bengals in this game to make it to the AFC Championship game. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills going into that game, I'm going to roll with the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. I just think that Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team is on a mission, a team that's gotten better and better as the season has gone along. I think that the Chiefs, they're going to need to be able to rush the football in this game. This defense is going to be, they're going to have to, be able to shut down Josh Allen, which is going to be a tough task. I think that this game is going to be a shootout, but I think that Kansas City having the advantage of playing at home, which the Bills won't have this week, is going to play a huge part in this game. I think that, I'm not sure where the game was played earlier on this year, even though the Bills beat them. I think that the Chiefs have gotten way better since then and have one of the best offenses in the league along with the Bills. But looking at this game, coming down to it, I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be, and this offense for the Chiefs is going to be a bit too good for this Bills defense, even though the Bills defense is like the best defense in the league. I just got this feeling that the Chiefs are going to come out and win this game. Going into the NFC, the Packers playing against the San Francisco 49ers. Talking about the Green Bay Packers, this is a team that I feel like is on a mission as well to get back to the NFC Championship game. Not only that, make it further and make it into the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl this year, as this could be Aaron Rodgers' last season with Green Bay, but who knows? I'm not a lot of things of where he's going and if he might stay or if he'll go. But I just feel like in this game, as good as the 49ers defense is, I think that the downfall is going to be that I think that the Packers will have a game plan and will be able to stop the 49ers. I think playing in the Lambeau cold weather, I don't think that the 49ers will be able to handle the crowd atmosphere throughout the game of the Green Bay Packers. I think that this game could be a close one, but I feel like the Green Bay Packers will end up winning this game on the back of Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, just the talent that this roster has. I just think they're, a very talented roster, a roster that I feel could very well make it to the Super Bowl, but will, get into that next week. I think that Green Bay is going to be able to, win the game offensively with their offense. I think their offense will be better. And I think that this defense will step up and find a way to make Jimmy G make mistakes. Of course, I think that 49ers might have some injury issues as well. But I'm going to roll with the Packers in this one, man. Sorry, guys, that the takes aren't so great today. I didn't have much time to prepare for this one. But I'm going to roll with the Bucs heading in to this week. You know what? I'm going to stop giving my opinion here about who I think is going to win and how they'll win. I'll just give you my takes on who I think is going to win, and then I'll better explain it. So, throw out everything I've said, but I'm going to go with the Bengals, the Chiefs to play in the AFC Championship game, as well as the Packers, and I'm rolling with the Bucs to play in the NFC Championship game coming up, a week from from Sunday, I guess, coming up this week. So yeah, sorry guys, just got a bit flustered and didn't really have a chance to prepare any of the takes for today's edition of the show. Didn't really put much research into it, so forget everything I said about why I think these teams are going to win, who I picked. But I will say that I am rolling with these teams to win, in the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bucs, and the Packers in the NFC. The NFC, the Packers, the Bucs, and the AFC, the Bengals and the Chiefs. So that's going to do for today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. That's going to do for Graham's opinion as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Special thanks to Harry Siemens and Gordie Tumilson and Seth Rach for coming on today's edition of the show. Lorena Mitchell will be joining the show next week. It's going to be a lot of fun next week. Special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in on this Wednesday morning as well. And also a special thanks to our sponsors of Rise and Shine Manitoba in Fabricland, Winkler, AETI, and Evolve Green. I'll be back on the show next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central Time for an all-new edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. You guys can catch it live here on the network, on our Facebook, on our Twitter, at Amateur Sports TV, our Facebook, ASTV Productions, and on our website as well at astvproductions.com. Be sure to check out who the guest list will be for next week's edition of the show as well on our social media pages, on our Instagram, at ASTV Productions, on our Facebook, and on our Twitter as well. But until next week on Wednesday, folks, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now, giving you the salute, hoping to do better on my NFL takes next week, as I will be fully prepared for next week to recap the games, as well as talking about my Super Bowl prediction. My bracket is still alive. So, depending on what happens, I might be revealing it this week, next week coming up. But if the teams who I think are going to make it to the Super Bowl are still in it, I will be, I won't be revealing my bracket until one of those teams loses. So until next Wednesday, folks, we'll see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend as well. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And until next Wednesday, on Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., folks, I'll see you then. Peace out, everybody.